I signed Téa on less than a full manuscript, which I think some people will do that, but for me, I feel like, when you send out a project, you want to know about the full potential of what that can be, a full novel. And so I read 60 pages of your book, and I remember being very excited, that sort of feeling that, unfortunately, now I have to judge. Téa was the first book I ever sold, so now I get to judge all my other clients by Téa, which is very, I'm sure they love that. And so, you have that standard of what gets you really excited, and Téa really did that. So I called her up and I signed her, and I'm curious to know, though, is that what got you to the point that you were sending an agent something with 60 pages? How did you get here? I was wondering if there were some, I think one of the things that people don't realize is there's so many parts of the publishing process that are not what you expect, especially as a writer. You enter and there are just a bazillion things that you're like, what is going on? The book doesn't come out for 2 years, blah, 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 all these crazy things. So I'm wondering, what are a couple experiences of yours that you had no idea would happen that surprised you in the publication process? It could be good, could be bad.
There were very few that were bad. And as my sentimentality for the process of publication grows,
everything looks good.
All of it looks great. I have to say that the most surprising thing about actual publication was, and now it's been almost 2 years, and it remains the most surprising thing about publication, was the accessibility to the work. Because I think, you're writing a short story, you're writing a novel, it's a project to which only you have access, and then, a limited number of people come and they have access to it, and then the book comes out. And folks at readings come to you and they say, in this passage, the deathless man does this, and it's a tremendous shock. And it remains, it's less shocking now. But the first few months, it was just, how do you know? And then, oh yes, you read the book when it came out. It's not just trapped on my computer in this world, but something else that was deeply moving for me was the process of selecting the cover here in the States, and the idea of this ambiguous and sort of disembodied entity that is the novel that you've been writing for years, and to which an enormous and often very secret part of your life is devoted, because I think as a writer, you learn really quickly not to tell everybody in your life, like, I'm writing a book. It might work out, it might not. It's a very, it becomes the secret shame, It's, but getting, it's true. Getting when the cover was selected, and when I got it in the mail and opening it, and that experience, it's sort of like meeting somebody for the first time, like someone you've known as a pen pal forever, and it has a face now. One of the surprising things about the writing process is, I set out sort of thinking, okay, this is a book about a girl and her grandfather, but it is not me or my grandfather. And then it is about a book. It's a book about a woman whose grandfather is very much like my grandfather, and as it goes, he is more and more like my grandfather. There core dissimilarities. My grandfather was not a doctor. He was an aeronautical engineer, and he made planes. Ironic, because I'm still afraid of flying. As the book went on, more and more of the key details of the grandfather's character started to lean very heavily towards the truth of what my grandfather was like. That being said, it's an interesting dynamic because I don't think that I'm very similar to Natalia at all. And so I think the essence of that storytelling that happened between us is very similar to the essence of the storytelling between them. The Deathless Man is rooted in folktale, and he's a figure in both Slavic and Germanic folktales, and he's usually presented in these very short, very moralistic folktales. And the moral of the story is you're going to die. They're very, very Eastern European, and Southern European as well. And he's often sort of a village idiot kind of, and he tricks death accidentally through no fault of his own often. and is punished either with immediate death or immortality. And I was very curious about it because my grandfather had recently passed away, and I could not conceive of immortality as a punishment at all. And when I first began to write him, he was a very dark, sort of archetypally somber character. He often sort of took the place of death in scenes, and he would, and I'd be like, oh, this is really subtle. Like, he's wearing black and has a hat. I will not give him a cowl, and I will not give him, a scythe. Instead, he will have an axe. It'll be very mysterious. No one will be able to place this character. He would always be lurking in, like, the corner of rooms, and I was writing at, like, 4 a.m. with my desk facing the wall, and then, I would end up with moments like, and he walked into the room. He was really very nice, and then it sort of evolved from and then I started to feel very, very bad for him because he was trying very hard to live this sort of cursed existence and interact with people in a way that was unappealing to them because his news was not very good.